Okay. I think nobody has got any doubt. Everything is 100% clear.
Babu, pani me mana?
So the spatial resolution in remote sensing, we have 4 types of resolution. Under that, spatial resolution is too much important. So what is the spatial resolution? Means the land information or the ground information related to a particular place. It's how far the information is spatially accurate. We call it as a spatial resolution. So earlier in the very initial stages of the remote sensing technology, the spatial resolution was very low. You know that the our smartphones also have the pixels. Pixels means picture element. So each pixel will carry or each pixel will have one particular information or one particular color. Usually in our smartphones, when you take a picture, you'll have a pixel. If you zoom it, you can see a pixel. It is a square, small square-like box having one particular color, whether it can be light red or light any. As I said, that 1 million color. In that 1 million color, it can be having one particular color. So what is that pixel means? It is the ground object information. One pixel used to be 122 meters resolution. If an object is about 122 meters, that 122 meters of information was put in or covered by one pixel. That was the 1990s. Earlier to 1990s, the satellite the spatial resolution was 120 meters resolution, 120 meters. One pixel used to have that much of information. So gradually the satellite spatial resolution has been increased, means much more better and very accurate information we started getting it. So let us see through these images. You can see here, this is a simple road network with some of the buildings and houses. And there is this is just a drawn or based on the satellite image, the drawn map of a road network and houses. Just a part of the city. You can just take it as a part of the city. So the pixel means this is the pixel. So you can find the whole that particular township was recorded at 80 meters pixel. One pixel carries 80 meters of resolution. One pixel information will be having 80 meters. 80 meters means it is a huge area. And that huge area had one pixel, and that pixel never had a clarity. So that was the resolution of 80 meters resolution means it didn't have much clarity in it. So gradually the technology went on modifying, and the technology went on giving more accurate information. 30 meters resolution, you can see the one pixel carrying 30 meters of information, and the pixels are also very much clubbed closer to each other. And this is 10 meters resolution. You can find. So in this earlier, this thing we cannot make out this township at all. It is just like boxes of different colors. Whereas in 30 meters, you can find again this road is having some white boxes. Then the houses are also having some white boxes, and the green is there are some green pixels. So even then, it is not so much clear whether it is a house or it is road or vegetation or something, but we can easily make out that green means it is vegetation. So the 10 meters has made much more little bit of ground type of something in a very unclear thing, but we can see some images developed. Though we are not able to find out clearly what it is, we can see this buildings are in a bright white color. Roads are also in white, whereas the rest of the things are gray color. So we could able to make something, and we can also see the 3D effect in it. The 1 meter resolution gave much more clarity in the land information, and the sub meter means off meter, so 0.60 meters. So you can find now more clear picture. So all green patches are seen, and there are the roads are also very much clearly visible, and there is a water body on the left top corner. So the resolution, the spatial resolution, as it started increasing, the clarity increased, and this is a much more higher resolution, and you can find a particular township with a road, and there is some concentration of roads, and some buildings are there, and it is a close resolution, which what we see through our eyes from a little bit of elevated place. The same thing we are seeing from the satellite. So the satellite is 800 kilometers, but we are getting it so clear. Hello, you have to mute your mic. So in this earlier picture, the rectangle that has been marked, you can see this rectangle is so clearly visible now. This is again very high resolution. So this is 15 centimeters resolution. 15 centimeters resolution, we can find this is a aerodrome, and this is our terminal, and we can find the position of the aircrafts. And again, this Landsat 80 meters resolution grid cell was, it used to cover this much of area. One pixel used to cover this much of 80 meters resolution means. Now we have, so means what kind of information would have got for this particular one pixel, means one particular color showing this much of area. It was not clear. So whereas now we are getting it so clear, and this is 30 meters resolution. So this, it has reduced to this much of area, and the spot that is 10 meters, it has been reduced to this much of pixel, and this is 4 meters resolution, and we find 1 meter resolution, and today we get very good clarity images. See, you cannot make out whether this is the satellite image or it is a photograph. This is satellite image. So it has been captured from the satellite, and you can see the buildings and the aeroplanes and the aerodrome. This is 30 centimeters. 30 centimeters means one pixel carrying 30 centimeters of information, 30 centimeters of land information. So here you can find the stadium with a neat planned area. So with full clarity. Suppose if you want to take this photograph, you had to fly very high in the sky, but you are getting it through the satellite. So the spatial resolution, the spectral is the bands. What are the color bands, and the temporal, whether it is during daytime or the which part of the year, rainy season or dry season, or so that is related to the time when the satellites go in different season. So if you want to get a particular information of particular time, we have to get it as a temporal information, and the radiometric is the color depth. So what is the depth of the color? So you will get the information related to the reflected objects in various depth of color depth. The best spatial resolution you can find, see, this is the earlier one, and the first you cannot make out this is a township, and you find the next level of technology developed into this kind of image, and now we are getting very clear and clarity based images. So let me not go into all these details. The satellite data is useful for various types of applications, and mainly the urban planning, forestry, so disaster management, agriculture. So it is used for various types of applications. So what is the good of the satellite images? As I told you, you will get a wide area of information in one particular image. See, no, this is the Google image which you can see in your own smartphones. So by this picture, this image itself, you can make a lot of inferences. So which part of the region is having wet type of a climatic area, which is having desert type of a climatic area, which is having semi-desert type of a climatic area. So all this information can be gathered from this image itself, and you can easily make out in India which part of the India is quite dry, which part of India is quite wet. So if you see, look at the Karnataka. Karnataka is semi-desert. It is having high, most arid kind of a climatic condition. So this is Thar desert. And you can see the Himalayas, it is evergreen forest. And the Western Ghats evergreen forest here. And there are some Eastern Ghat patches of green forest. And most of the Gangetic belt is having good agriculture. And so it looks green this way. So the whole satellite image is loaded with a lot of information. If it is larger the area, lesser the information we get. Smaller the area, greater the information we get. That is the this one. So you find there are a lot of areas of the world. Kindly mute your mic if you are speaking with somebody else. So these are all the satellite images which is providing us the information about the air pollution, which are the cities which is having high amount of air pollution. And this is about the climatic means disaster like the cyclones. So, and not only the disasters, it is also helpful for crop management, as I already pointed out about the crop management and the water stress related issues and the flood zone mapping, and where the heat zones are found. We can find the whole northern part of India is having a heat wave zone. Heat wave means during the summer days, the northern part of India experiences high temperature, and a wave will be produced, heat waves. So which are those points, and what are the measures that can be taken, that can be also assessed by this satellite data? So geographical information system, when we put all this data into GIS platform, we can synchronize, and we can analyze and get the final output map of this kind. See here, the above one is satellite image, the below is the output map. What is this? The land is land cover. So 1977 satellite image, and based on that satellite image, the land use land cover map has been developed. So you can find the forest area, the green, dark green color, and the agricultural land, light green in color, and the pasture land, light bluish in color. It is located in some area, and the desert land, you can find here and there the patches of desert land are there, and the Gobi the Gobi desert land. So this is 1977 and 1989. If you compare 1977 and 89, you can see what are the changes that has occurred. So some of the agricultural land has been increased. You can find here there is no that much of agricultural land, whereas we find the agricultural land has been increased, and we can see the desert land has been the desert too has increased here. and many patches the desert. So it is a very good information what changes has taken place between 1977 to 1989 and what has happened in 2002. So the agricultural land has further increased when compared to 1977 and 1989. And you can find the desert land has been little bit shrinked. Means you can find 1989 and 2002, the desert land has been shrinked here. And agricultural land has increased and there are new patches of agricultural land. Means the government or the people in the region have taken the different measures in order to develop their land. So that's how this land has from a very bad situation to it has improved. So this kind of output can be drawn. It can be means we can plan. It is see 1977 it was so bad condition. But in 2002, over the period of 30, nearly 25 years, this region has developed quite good because it is all because of the planning. So we do not want to go into the population change. It is not only related to the physical aspects, it is even the human related aspects can also be studied through the satellite images. That's what I wanted to show the population, how the population data can be assessed through satellite images. So just if you take the population change of 1964, city was so small, and in 1972 it becomes so big, and in 1986 much more bigger, 1992. So likewise, the satellite images will provide not only the physical data of the region, but also the population data. So yeah, the Mysore City earthquake susceptibility zone has been done as a project work, and you can find the total watts, all the 65 watts have been taken into consideration, and the different data has been collected, satellite data as well as the means the population data, the house building means houses, the year of construction. All this information has been taken, and the lineament, the geological condition of the region has also been considered. Based on this, we have located hotspots where if there is an earthquake in Mysore city, where exactly the earthquake will be having severe death toll or damage to the life and property. So that has been mapped here. So this is the one of the output what we can do, how to avoid the or mitigation. We cannot avoid the earthquake, but we can do the mitigation aspect. We can just give the warning to the people who are living in these particular wards, and especially ward number 36, ward number 40, ward number 41, so ward number 62. So we can give these ward people that your region is more susceptible for earthquake, and the houses may fall, and there will be a lot of death tolls. So this is the next level is where we can find the next susceptible region, the hotspot regions. So I had conducted a desertification project, a major project for Karnataka. The degree of desertification in India, in India, that is especially Karnataka and Chamarajanagar district, I concentrated in Karnataka. Means I had taken Chamarajanagar as a major studies area of interest. So this study was conducted in the year 2010. So the whole Karnataka was mapped by satellite data. So the entire Karnataka was clipped out for the Karnataka outline boundary, and I had done a lot of mapping, means generating data from the satellite images. So especially the groundwater as well as the stream orders, the density of streams, and we have generated the digital elevation model, and also the agricultural, the subwatersheds, watersheds, and subwatersheds, and agriculture cropping zones, and the rainfall mapping. So based on the various types of data, final output map has been generated. So the final output map is this one. So here we find the entire Karnataka has been classified into different categories of susceptibility of desertification. See, this desertification is a very slow process. Nobody is realizing that we are heading towards desert, because desertification means usually people will think that it is related to desert land. Even that was the same case what happened when I applied for the desertification project in the UGC. The panel member, the expert committee was surprised to see that desertification process in Karnataka, what kind of a research proposal it is. In the first attempt, they rejected my case. But again, I didn't give up this one. I went for the second presentation, and I told them it is desertification process is because if you just check in the Wikipedia or in the Google search, the desertification definition means it is the slow expansion of the present existing desert land in the adjoining land is called as desertification. But my desertification process is totally different one. It is the land which was having a very good climatic condition. Means we classify on the basis of rainfall, 4 types of classification. See, wet region, then humid region, wet, humid, semi-humid, semi-arid, arid, dry, and desert. So nearly 6 classifications we do it on the basis of the rainfall or the moisture present in the area. As I said, wet, humid, subhumid, semi-arid, arid, and dry. 6 types. So our Mysore region was under subhumid. Subhumid, it means it transformed into semi-arid condition. Now, from semi-arid to arid, it is changing into arid condition. Means the people are not aware about, because it is little bit slow and people do not give notice of these changes. So while it comes into the final stages, it will be totally out of our reach to correct it. So that is the major threat for the land. So this desertification project was done in order to identify and to caution the people and the government that the region is severely attacked by the desertification. So when I completed this project, even people in the government and many research academicians were not knowing that there is a desertification process going on in Karnataka. As I said, transformation from the humid to subhumid to semi-arid, semi-arid to arid condition, arid to dry condition. This is the process which leads to desertification. So I wanted to identify and inform the planning authority. So I have identified. See, you can find these are the dark red colors are very high risk zones, and light red is high risk. Yellow is moderate. Low risk or the light green in color, and very low risk is totally dark green in color. So is it clear? So this is the most susceptible regions. Which are those? This Chitradurga region in the central part of Karnataka, means the south central part of Karnataka, and Pavagada and other things, and here in the Chamarajanagar and the Belgaum region. So it has been done up to the taluk level. Taluk level, you can name any taluk, I can give what is the risk of it. So that is the level of information I could able to gather from satellite data and provide which is the level of the desertification process in taluk, at taluk level. So you can see high risk like Chamarajanagar, Gundlupete, Ramdurga, Ukkeri, Belagaum, Murdod. So all these are all under the high risk. So coming over to a taluk level, because I wanted to take in in Mysore region, Chamanagara district was highly prone for desertification. In this Chamanagara, Gullipete product was much more dry. So I took Gullipete as the focused area, and I did this satellite study, and based on the satellite and the generating data and the GS in the GS platform, I had done. There are three levels of weightage has been given. See, this zero threat is yellow area, moderate threat is green, and red threat is severe, red color. So you see so much of red portions are there. See, this all these lands are having very high or intensive dry condition. Especially if you go to this region, it is totally dry and nothing can be cultivated. Even the groundwater is more than 2,000 feet below surface level. So 2,000 feet below. So that is the condition, and you can find a very good example, because I did all this from my university, and when I went for cross checking, I wanted to check whether what the results that I have obtained is true or not. When I went to I took one of the severely hit region, Bhimanambedu, a village in Gullipete Taluk. That village is having 1,050, yeah, more than 1,500 borewells. One village having 1,500 borewells. I was very much surprised why the region has become totally dry, and they cannot live without the borewell water. They had dug so many borewells, and out of thousands, 500 and odd borewells, only 50 were functioning. Rest of the borewells have gone dry. So that is the case. So that is why we had to plan for mitigation. Means if we lose our valuable resource like groundwater, definitely that region will become a desert, because I consider the rainfall water is for human and animals, the surface water. The surface water is for humans. The groundwater is for the plants and trees. And that is what we can use. But if you use the groundwater, which is dedicated for the God has created the water body in different forms. The water body that is there in the atmosphere, the water body that is on the ground, that is the water body that is there in the underground. It has got its own uses. The underground water body should be used by the plants and trees. That is not for the human beings. The surface water body is for man and animals.
You can talk.
Hello. Ravindra, participant Ravindra. So, can you able to reach me? Whether are you able to understand what I am explaining? Hello.
Sir, continue, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I'm talking about the desertification process in our own region, because many of you do not know what is a desertification process, because it is slow. It is a slow threat. One day everything will be totally out of our control, and nothing can be grown in your region. And it is already happening in Pavagada and some Tumkur. In Tumkur Taluk, many villages are migrating. People from even in Chamanagara and Gullipete, they are also migrating, because they cannot stay back in their village, because they cannot have water to drink. They don't have any crop to produce. So there is no meaning in staying back in the village where there is no water to drink, even for the people. Forget about animals. So how they can make their livelihood in the villages which is having so much of dryness. So this is a threat. It is happened for one village, means it will be covering many more villages. So that is what I am explaining here. in this Gundlupeta taluk, so many villages are getting dried, which were once upon, see this Chamaragara and Gundlupeta were a forest region. You can imagine forest do not come, or the big trees, huge trees will not be growing if there is a very bad type of a climatic condition which is not congenial for its growth. The trees that have been grown, if it is a forest, means the climatic condition should be congenial. Congenial means good climatic condition. So evergreen forest means it is only when there is good rainfall, more than 250 centimeters of rainfall. That region can have a good forest. So Chamaragara and Gundlupeta are having good forest, but the present situation is not correlating to the forest. Forest is there, but there is no rainfall. The forest is getting dried. The forest plants and trees are shrinking. It is a clear indicator that the climatic condition is getting worst. Means the rainfall is getting deteriorated and the region is getting more drier and it is turning up into a desert. In future, this will be going to be a desert. So the reasons I have worked out, and let me go into another one and just what are the reasons for this desertification means just check with the dried lakes. Means if you look at the Kabini watershed, the sub-watershed of Kabini, earlier in 1990s, there were 871 lakes were there. Whereas today, there are only 235 lakes, nearly 636 lakes have been dried. What is the reason? The reason is because of the exorbitant drilling of ground, the borewells, drilling of borewells. The extraction of borewells results into the total depletion of groundwater, and the depletion of groundwater results into the drying of lakes. So this drying condition means within the span of just 1993 means it is a span of 20-30 years, we have lost 636 lakes. So we can imagine how much of impact it will be there on the local vegetation as well as the temperature of the region. If all these water bodies, the surface water bodies are the regulator of temperature, it keeps the region like a air conditioned. So more water bodies, greater the water bodies, lesser the temperature, greater the humidity, greater the rainfall, better vegetation. If there is no good humidity, good rainfall, it will become more drier and there will be no better life. The life will become more suffering and people cannot have, means whatever they invest on the land, they cannot get the returns of it. So that will be the condition. See, this digging bore wells have resulted into drying of the lakes. So this results. So these are all the study which has been done through satellite data and GS platform. So otherwise, this kind of data is not available even in the government offices. So they cannot, they have not done this kind of a research. So as a disaster, means if you want to plan for a region, how to mitigate or how to give a solution to a place to come out of this desertification disaster, we had to have all this data, which is the most severely affected area and what should be the best plan, because a generalized plan cannot be implemented for the entire region. It should be focused on each region, each area will be having a different type of parameters and which will be controlled by different climatic data and ground data. So we had to give a individual plan for that. So it is only when we do extensive and intensive study to focus to a particular region or area, then only we will be able to get the or plan for a region. So this is it is satellite information is not only for disaster management, it is for urban planning also. Even in urban planning, we can reduce the disaster of see Chennai, Bangalore, as well as even Mysore had flood disasters. Why flood disaster? Actually, ours is undulating topography. Plateau region, undulating topography means it's a very good pathway for the water to flow. If it is a plain land, flood is quite common. Are you getting? Flood region is common in the plain region, but not in the undulating topography like ours. When there is a undulating topography, the water can easily flow out of the place within few minutes. But the flood has occurred in Bangalore, Mysore means it is totally indicates that the urban planning is not done efficiently. If the urban planning has done efficiently, the flood would not have occurred in Mysore in 2018. There was a huge flood as well as in Bangalore also. Some few years back, there was a flood in Bangalore. And this is all due to the wrong planning. If you do not take the stream paths and the stream density and if you do not plan properly without giving priority to the natural pathways, this kind of thing will result into flooding. So urban planning is also one of the major aspect in disaster management, because more people means densely populated areas. City means it is densely populated. So we should be very much careful in planning for a densely populated region. Otherwise, yes, a disaster, if it strikes, lot of death tolls will occur or property will be damaged, whether it is a landslide or it is a flood or any other type of disaster. So these are the various planning plans that have been proposed for the government to take initiative in implementing it. So landslide susceptibility mapping was done for Uttarakashi. So when I was in Dehradun, Indian Institute of Remote Sensing, I was given a project to study about landslides of Uttarakashi. So I and another friend of mine studied the Uttarakashi landslide. That is, without going to the spot, we did all the primary research work in Dehradun Institute. And after getting the final output, we wanted to go and confirm what is the accuracy level, and visited the spot and we saw what we had done is accurately fitted into that particular region. Means Uttarakashi is highly densely populated town in the Himalayan region. So landslide is quite common because they have typically see the hill is on the one side, and at the foothill there is Ganga River, and in the banks of the Ganga River, the Uttarakashi town is located. So any landslide can have two type of impact. One is the boulders and the mud blocks that slide from the hill will definitely wash out the city. And another thing is the land that comes and fall into the river can also act as a oversurge of water and causes a sudden flood in the city. So that kind of threat is there for Uttarakashi. So once it has happened, the landslide has happened and they have the very bad experience of it. And we wanted to spot which are the other places where the landslide can occur. So taking the geological aspects into consideration, we have done a study, and this is the methodology what we have. This is the topographical map picture of Uttarakashi, and you can see this hill is having more than 850 meters of elevation, and this is the road, and you find the town here, and this is the Ganga River. So anything which falls, it will come and hit the town. And if any big landslide occurs, that will be getting into water and it will splash water on the town, and there will be, because this town is also in this side also. I have taken only the threat area, but the town is also on the other side of the river. So there is a threat, big threat for these people, both from the landslide as well as flood. So this is all the what we did using the satellite images and GS platform. First, we have marked the Uttarkashi landslide area and the river as well as the mountain over there, and which are the landslide spots and dam, and so different aspects have been considered, the slope and the degree of slope or the direction of the slope. And this is the dam model we have developed, and you can find almost the real-time image you may see here. So how the Uttarkashi is located and what is the population, the densely populated area and the river, where exactly the river is located, and the degree of slope is quite steep because of the steep slope. Landslides are quite common. Even a small rainfall can produce the landslide. So that is the dangerous situation what is faced by these people. So is it clear? I think most of you have gone. Are you online?
Yes, we are listening, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
okay.
sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you. So these are all the various aspects of the landslide that we have taken into consideration, and the finally landslide susceptibility zone has been marked, and what you find the red zones, the red are highly risk, where these are the spots where the landslides can occur, and very high and yellow is high, and moderate is the light blue color, and low is the bottom portion. So you can see the whole region is itself is having the yellow and red color, means very high to moderate high. So the town is under a very big threat. Anytime there can be landslide and it will result into big disaster, and people may lose life as well as their life and property. So after that is one aspect of the study. Where exactly will happen? What is the magnitude and nothing? What will be the level of property loss assessment? That can also be studied through remote sensing and GIS technology. So what is the objective we have fixed? To assess the life risk zone and to caution the most vulnerable people. Assessment of damage to property in terms of money. So what is the total money that will be damaged? What is the economic loss and what is the loss of people? Who are people this? So we have done the landslide zone based on the previous output that will become the input of this, and we have mapped the buildings based on the satellite images. The buffer zone has been created. So if there is a landslide, it will not cross more than 500 meters, or it will not be more than 1 kilometer. So buffer zone has been developed, and the houses have been mapped. You can see these all the residential and buildings have been mapped. Based on the buffer zone, that has been, rest of the things have been eliminated. So those houses which are not under the threat area, that has been eliminated. Only the houses which will be having a serious impact due to landslides, that has been taken. And total built up area, it runs in say 1 crore, 12 lakhs, 425 built up area will be damaged. And so it's yeah, this is in meters, 1,12,425 meters of land will be is under built up area. And what is the area within buffer zone, that is 50 meters from the river point and the landslide point. And total number of buildings in buffer, how many buildings are there? 224. What is the population residing in this high risk zone? 1,120. And what is the property that is estimated? It is it runs in some 600 crore worth property, and property under the risk zone, it's quite less. So this kind of assessment can also be done through the satellite remote sensing and GIS. So let's repeat it. So these are the various types, and I have done forest fire research, forest fire, because forest fire is quite common in Bandipur and also in Nagarwale. So how we can assess the forest fire or susceptibility or hotspot zone of a forest in Bandipur or Nagarwale? So first of all, the satellite image will provide the vegetation statistics. Vegetation means we had to get the statistics because, as I said, that the vegetation will have a reflectance. Means if you take the satellite image of a forest area, it will be shown in, so the forest area will be shown in the red color. Why it is red color? Usually, as soon as the sunlight falls on a green leaf, it will reflect very low energy. The reflectance of low energy will be less. So the lesser the reflectance, it will be longer wavelength. Longer the wavelength means it falls, it will be producing red color. So most of the satellite images which are false color composition will be having red color, will be indicating the vegetation. So based on the satellite data, we can build. Means satellite data means I consider that this image itself is a satellite data. So this satellite data will provide a good information about the statistics about the how much of forest land is there and what are the types of trees. We can get the types of trees based on the reflectance value. We call it as the spectral library. Spectral library. So spectral library means each and every object has got its own reflectance value. Suppose if it is a dried leaf, it will have a different reflectance value. If it is a budding leaf, it will have a different spectral value, reflectance value. If it is moderately ripe leaf, it will have a different reflectance value. So we can, different stages of a leaf have different spectral value, reflectance value. So that is how we can identify each one of the vegetation or crop. So whether there will be difference between, even though a particular land is having one row of ragi crop, one row of wheat or paddy, and another row of sugarcane, or another row of another wheat, other some other crop. All these crops will have different reflectance value. Based on that, we can identify, though we may not be able to identify which particular crop it is, but we can able to identify which is, there is a different crop rows. Row crops are there. The first row is different one, the second row is different, the third row is different. Likewise, we can make out the different rows of crops, and for particular leaf or based on the particular reflectance value, some of the crops can also be identified. This crop reflects this much of a range of reflectance wavelength. So based on that wavelength, we can even specifically say this is the type of crop. So depending upon, say, for example, apple and mango leaves are having one kind of a reflectance value. Based on the location, we can identify, oh, this is this cannot be apple crop in Mysore, because the reflectance Mysore cannot have apple trees, so it should be mango. So likewise, that kind of a correlation we can do, and we can get the type of a crop also. But most of the crops will have specific reflectance value. Based on that, it can be easily identified. So based on that kind of a reflectance value, we have identified the most dry regions of the forest, and a little bit semi-dry area, and green area. And the slope is also considered. Elevation is considered. Rainfall data is considered. So if you map the rainfall and superimpose this vegetation, suppose the dry patches or the dry trees are located on the less rainfall area, then what you have mapped and what the data, what you have generated from the satellite images is said to be correct. And based on that, you can easily say that this particular portion of the area is having less rainfall and the vegetation is also quite dry. And what is the slope land? What is the gradient of the land? If there is a high gradient, that results into immediate runoff of the water. Immediate runoff of the water leads to the no penetration of groundwater. The groundwater cannot be charged. So if the groundwater is not charged, certainly the tree will not get sufficient water for its sustainable to sustain. So based on all these conditions, means based on the elevation condition, based on the slope condition, the degree of the slope, the direction of the slope, the stream paths, the rainfall data, the temperature data, the type of the vegetation, and the groundwater situation. So based on all these things, I have developed the forest fire susceptibility zone for Namibia, because one of the African students had come for research in JSS institution, means JSS University, and she has taken me as the co-guide, and she wanted to develop a susceptibility zone for Namibia forest. So I gave the methodology, and she did according to my guidance. And the map what we generated, the susceptibility of forest fire zones of Namibia, was exactly matching. And the earlier events, the event that has occurred in the past, the forest fire events, that exactly correlated with the mapping what we had done. So that itself is a clear indicator that what methodology you have carried out and the data what you had chosen and the data what you had generated are all near to the truth. Means we cannot say that 100% accuracy. 90% accuracy itself is a great output or very good result in disaster management or remote sensing application development. So this is even I had experience of getting very good solid dry condition sitting at this. I want when I when I was working on the desertification project, I wanted to know which is the most driest spot, and I identified one of the spots in Raichur district in Manvi Taluk, and I want that was a very dry spot amidst of the green area. I was surprised how there can be such a dry spot in the bit of the green agricultural land. So that spot I developed in my chamber. Means we did the all what remote sensing application based analysis, and we got output map. And I wanted to know whether I'm wrong or I'm correct. So in order to get this one correction, means we call it the ground truth analysis or ground truth visits. So we wanted to go, means only when we go to the spot and find out if the result that has been developed sitting here in Mysore and finding out the driest place in Raichur Manvi Taluk, whether it is true or wrong. Means if it exists, then I am right. If it doesn't exist, my entire research data and analysis is all wrong. So I wanted to go and visit the spot. I traveled to Raichur and then to the Manvi Taluk. Even when I'm very much close to the spot, people were not aware that there is such a huge land under dry condition. And when I went very much closer, means about 10 kilometers to that spot, then people, when I started asking, is there any land which is totally dry, very dry patch of land in made of agricultural land, then people started identifying and said that yes, there is a land. So then, because I had taken the GPS location of that point and I was just walking towards that spot, and we walked through the what agricultural land and we located that spot exactly the coordination what GPS coordination XY coordination what I had taken the location coordinates exactly matched with that spot. So But through that, I can able to come to a conclusion that what I have done is 85 to 90% accuracy. Because if that land would not have matched to my the map, what I have done, that would have been a different story. Because most of the time, many researchers do mapping, but it will not be correlated or it will not be matched with the ground data. So that kind of accuracy checking should be done once we complete our research. So that is the another way of checking how far you are accurate in your research work and management. Because when we give these statistics, it should be correct, and so that the planning will not go wrong. Otherwise, it will be totally a disaster. Another disaster, human knowledge-based disaster will happen. So, is there any questions? If you have any questions, please ask me, and I will be happy to answer to your questions. Yes, nobody is asking. Hello. Rajanna B.
ಸರ್ ಹೇಳಿ.
Do you have any questions?
ಈಗ ಧರ್ಮ ಮತ್ತೆ ದೇವರ ಆಧಾರದ ಮೇಲೆ ಇದು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದಲ್ಲ ಸರ್, ಈಗ ನದಿಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ಹಾಳಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಈಗ ನಿಮ್ಮಂತ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪರ್ಟ್ಗಳು ಈ ಥರದ್ದೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಹಿತಿಗಳಿದ್ರೂ ಕೂಡ ಸರ್, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಈ ಮಾಹಿತಿನ ಪರಿಗಣಿಸಲು ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಯಾಕೆ ಸರ್?
ಅದನ್ನೇ ಅದು ಇವತ್ತಿನ ಒಂದು biggest tragedy is that our research will be put into corners, and our politicians are not bothered. They are least bothered. They are very much self-interested, and even the government officials, they are also self-interested, and they will not be giving any importance to this kind of research. ನಾನು ಮೈಸೂರು ಅರ್ಬನ್ ಪ್ಲಾನಿಂಗ್ ಬಂದು 2100 ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ. ಇನ್ನು 100 ವರ್ಷಕ್ಕೆ ಅರ್ಬನ್ ಮೈಸೂರು ಸಿಟಿ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಗ್ರೋತ್ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು. ಈಗ ನಾವು ಒಂದು ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಒಂದು ಬ್ಯಾಂಗ್ಳೂರ್ ಸಿಟಿ ತಗೊಂಡು ನೀವು ನೋಡಿ, ಬ್ಯಾಂಗ್ಳೂರು, ಡೆಲ್ಲಿ ಇದು. ಈಗ ಬ್ಯಾಂಗ್ಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ ಬ್ರಿಟಿಷ್ ಪೀರಿಯಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗಿರುವಂತಹ ಬಿಫೋರ್ ಇಂಡಿಪೆಂಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿರುವಂತಹ ಅರ್ಬನ್ ಪ್ಲಾನಿಂಗ್, ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಅರ್ಬನ್ ಪ್ಲಾನಿಂಗ್ ಎಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಅಲ್ಲೊಂದು ಪ್ಲಾನಿಂಗ್ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಮಾಡಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ಎ ವೆರಿ ಗುಡ್ ಲೈವ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಫಾರ್ ಅಸ್. ವೆನ್ ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ಎ ವೆರಿ ಗುಡ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್, ಅದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕೇ ವಿನಃ ಅದನ್ನ ಇನ್ನೂ ಹಾಳು ಮಾಡೋದಲ್ಲ. ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, ನಾವು ಹಾಳು ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಮುಂದ್ಗಾಲಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಂತಿದ್ದೀವಿ. So that is the greatest tragedy. Even in Mysore also, we are finding it. The same thing is happening, but not as worst as Bangalore city. ಇನ್ನು ಡೆಲ್ಲಿ ತಗೊಂಡ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಡೆಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ತುಂಬಾ ವರ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ. Old Delhi, New Delhi. Old Delhi is before Britishers. It was during the Mughal period. New Delhi was British period, and the modern Delhi is much more worst. So planning ಬಂದು ಒಂದು it leads to lot of disaster. ನಮ್ಮ ಪ್ಲಾನಿಂಗ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಎಡುವುದ್ರೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಡಿಸಾಸ್ಟರ್ ಮುಂದಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗೋದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವೇ ಅವಕಾಶಗಳನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಈಗ